defenses. Packers defense looks amazing. He led all quarterbacks in QB contact last year. He led all quarterbacks in scramble rate last year. It's just not sustainable. And he is a quarterback who can win from the pocket, and he can be a part of that designed run game without it being the bulk of it the way it has been, frankly, through much of the season. So I think there's got to be some tough conversations with Daniels about his style of play with an eye towards his continued longevity, because he is too special to absorb this much contact.
Absolutely, and we see coaches every year have that discussion about your quarterback that can change the game with his ability to run, but also you need him available to be out there every given Sunday. I look at this Washington Commanders team, and this is a team in the NFC that we're looking at to possibly compete with the Eagles and the Packers to represent the NFC in a Super Bowl. Where do they go from here? Marcus Mariota comes in at the quarterback position. Can he hold down the helm and figure out a way to win some games in the absence of Jayden Daniels, depending upon the extent of that injury? A 31-year-old quarterback, he could run in his day. Can he still execute this offense the same way, the way Cliff Kingsbury, to Dan's point, has designed it, where Jayden is so dangerous within it?
Maybe, but probably not that likely, right? I mean, there's a reason why Jayden kind of took this league by storm last season. A couple of thoughts come to mind. First of all, there were some signs that something was amiss during the game. Jayden had 17 rushing yards against the Packers this past Thursday night. That's a great defense that has athletes all over the field. That's the second fewest rushing yards that Jayden's had in a game so far in his career. I also would note this. Last year, there was significant uncertainty surrounding Jayden Daniels' status in what was supposed to be this Caleb Williams versus Jayden Daniels matchup against the Bears. And Jayden was out there on the field on Sunday. I would not rule out Jayden Daniels based off what I know about the player and how LSU during his college days was calling him Gumby with the way that he was able to absorb all that content.
Yeah, he did bulk up, by the way, in the offseason in an effort to be more durable. Mariota hasn't started a game since 2002. And we have more breaking news now. Another quarterback, the guy in Minnesota, Adam. What's happening there?
Well, he's got a sprained ankle, Hannah, and J.J. McCarthy is more than likely not to play Sunday versus the Cincinnati Bengals, which would mean that Carson Wentz would step in and replace J.J. McCarthy. You remember all the quarterback juggling that the Vikings did this summer during the season. They signed Sam Howell. They traded Sam Howell to the Philadelphia Eagles. They signed Carson Wentz to replace Sam Howell. And this is why they have Carson Wentz, because J.J. McCarthy got beat up in the game on Sunday night against the Atlanta Falcons. Came in this morning with an ankle injury. They went through testing, and the Vikings determined that the chances are he's not going to be able to play this week. After that, they leave for overseas trips. We'll see how J.J. McCarthy responds to that.
Yeah, unfortunate setback for a guy that's really having some growing pains playing right now. Dan, what's your reaction upon hearing this news?
Yeah, it's concerning. He's missed 18 games and played in 2. At some point, young quarterbacks need to get on the field, and this is an organization and a team very good. Roster top to bottom, very good, and they have entrusted the future of the team in his hands. And while JJ has a ton of experience, certainly in his playing time in college, he needs, and you could watch through 2 games if we're just being fair, he needs to be on the field just to feel the speed of the pass rush and feel the speed of how windows in the NFL are closing faster than college. And so not going to overreact, and hopefully this is a short-term thing, but the fact that we are this quickly into his second game of his second season and he's missed 18 games and played in 2, that has to be concerning in the building.
Yeah, derailing any sort of progress that he might make after a tough game yesterday. We'll get into that. Carson Wentz did make one start last season, by the way, for the Chiefs. This was going to be our lead today. More breaking news. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow will need toe surgery that will sideline him for a minimum of 3 months. He suffered the toe turf injury in the first half of yesterday's game with the Jaguars when he was sacked. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor addressing the media moments ago.
It's unfortunate that this happened, but again, that's part of football, and that's what's going to happen. Guys are in the pocket, guys are moving around. I don't know how a turf toe injury fully happens, how you got to get hit or stepped on. I get it. I understand where people are going to come from. It's going to be very attacking of us and our style of play. That's got us to a Super Bowl and an AFC Championship and 2 division titles and won a lot of games for us. So we're always evaluating how we can protect our players and put them in the best position possible. So I take accountability for that, and if people want to blame me for putting them in a position, I'm fine taking that.
Jake Browning is the backup. He had 3 picks yesterday, nonetheless led them to a comeback win. Shefty, what more can you tell us?
This is a devastating blow to the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow in the National Football League. Joe Burrow went down yesterday, went for an MRI in the Bengals stadium. They're one of the few stadiums, if not the only stadium in the NFL, that has an MRI machine on site, and it determined that there was a significant turf toe injury that's going to require surgery. Now, they're going to wait for the swelling in that toe to go down before they operate. But once they do operate, Hannah, it's a minimum 3-month absence. And my understanding is for surgeries of that sort, it is more likely a 12 to 14-week recovery period. It is September 15th right now. The soonest that right now Joe Burrow could get back would be December 15th. They're scheduled to play the Ravens on December 14th. We'll see how that works out. But we know he's going to be sidelined indefinitely in the latest injury to derail a season of Joe Burrow's. He's had seasons robbed for knee injuries, for wrist injuries, for all sorts of issues. This is the latest one. Surgery will happen probably in the next week, and that will sideline him indefinitely.
They are 2 games under 500 in all those games that he has missed. Thank you, Adam. News coming fast and furious. And since drafting Joe Burrow first overall in 2020, the Bengals are 10 games over 500 with him as the starting quarterback, compared to that 6-8 mark that I referenced with any other quarterback. Also, they average about 5.5 more points a game, 57 more passing yards when Burrow is under center. And for reference, Cincinnati was 4-3 when Jake Browning took over when Burrow was hurt in 2023. They spent all that money on their receivers. And then Burrow gets hurt on a sack. Dan, you have had turf toe. How bad is it?
Yeah, maybe they should have taken the money that they used to purchase that MRI machine and, maybe invested into an offensive line better. Turf toe's terrible. It's crazy painful. I remember when I did mine, very similar type of play for Joe, just getting fallen on. A couple things. One, we had to put a metal plate in the cleats and shoes because the big thing is like it's wildly painful if your toe bends at all, and just the functionality of pushing off. It's just almost incapable to get done. So there's a non-flexing metal plate that we had to get put in. I didn't get surgery, and I don't know the severity of mine compares to Joe, but I was fighting for my job, so I had no choice. I'd also say this, it's something I still have to deal with. My toe, again, no surgery, will constantly pop out of place on a almost weekly basis, whether running or working out. So hopefully Joe's able to get healthy as soon as possible, but I don't think this is something that will just go away after 3 months.
Yeah, some have even remarked that we should rename that injury because it's certainly a lot more serious than turf toe sounds. And given what you've just heard, what are your expectations now for the Bengals?
For one, I feel bad for the YMCA when Dan's out there playing, knowing that his toe is going in and out of place. But for the Bengals, you look at it, how well Joe Burrow played a year ago, where he put up historic numbers, him and Jamar Chase. And now you look at what this offense is going to be, that is completely designed for Joe Burrow to carry the load. They have designed that offense to get the ball to the receivers and make plays. Without him in that lineup, you can't have the same expectations where we look at this team as a playoff contender and someone that could possibly beat and compete with any team in the AFC. As soon as Joe Burrow is eliminated from that equation, you cannot mention the Bengals in that conversation. It's a tough blow for them. It's a tough to have to turn on the game and not see Joe Burrow out there at the quarterback position. Jake Browning filled in for him and did an admirable job. I just don't think he's going to be the guy that can carry this offense and this entire team to where they want to go.
Yeah, Dan referenced the offensive line resources from the Bengals, or the lack thereof. Worth noting that since Joe Burrow was drafted first overall, the Bengals have not ranked better than 27th out of 32 in pass block win rate. They also have invested the 3rd lowest cash dollars into the offensive line this year. And frankly, I think Joe covers up for some of the offensive line woes. I'd put him on the short list, if not at the top of the list, of best in-pocket navigators. I'm not talking about guys that can make plays with their legs way out of the pocket like Lamar. That guy could play any position on the field. He's fast enough and athletic enough to do so. Joe just really navigates the pocket brilliantly because of almost a sixth sense of pressure. Jake Browning is a serviceable backup quarterback. I think the championship equity or the deep playoff run equity is out the window for the Bengals with this news.
I will trade off for a little bit of optimism. I know Jake Browning was pretty up and down yesterday, but in 2023, He was surprisingly good to me, top 10 in QBR, and I thought that Zach Taylor and the staff did a good job of evolving their scheme to better suit him. He was under center, they were booting him out. RPOs were a big part of that offense. It looked competent. The other thing I'll note is the schedule is not that hard if the goal is to just hold serve and try to play, say, 500 ball until Burrow gets back. The Vikings, Denver Broncos don't look as scary as feared. You've got the Bears, the Steelers, the Jets coming up. There are winnable games. The defense is going to have to play better, but this is definitely, I believe, one of the better backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yesterday needs to change the Bengals' organizational philosophy for the remainder of Joe Burrow's time. Honestly, it should impact all of the NFL because it feels like Joe Burrow is trending towards becoming this generation's Andrew Luck in a way. And the conversation around Andrew was all the hits. And through those first 5 or 6 seasons, look at them. The times the quarterback gets hit, look how much they're getting hit in relation to how often they're dropping back, how many sacks they're taking, and then the percent of pressure that they're dealing under. So we are calling the Raiders-Chargers game. And in talks with Coach Harbaugh yesterday, the thing that stood out was when he said to us, all I think about is I have to protect Justin Herbert. That's all I think about. Because if I protect Justin Herbert, we can go to the Super Bowl and win it. And the Bengals have to look at that and go, we haven't committed to doing that organizationally. We haven't. You just heard Fields say it. If I'm a team in the NFL, I'm paying attention to it and going, I am learning from that because I don't want my young player, my quarterback, to have that similar experience.
Well, the Bengals committing all of those financial resources to their receivers, and now they don't have the guy to throw to them that they intended. And believe it or not, we're not done with breaking news. We're going back to Adam. More on J.J. McCarthy. Another update. What's up, Adam?
Well, Hannah, here's the timeline on J.J. McCarthy. It's a 2 to 4 week injury. It's a high ankle sprain. So he's not going to be playing this week against the Cincinnati Bengals, and the overwhelming chances are he's not going to be playing next week either after the Vikings go overseas. The question will be how and when he can get back in that 2 to 4 week range, but he's dealing with a high ankle sprain right now. The test determined today, and that's a tough break for a player who was coming back from the torn meniscus last year and now will have his delay and his growth halted and delayed while he recovers from this high ankle sprain.
Man, that is just too bad. Let's go back to Dan Orlovsky. So it's Carson Wentz now here for the next couple of weeks. What's your reaction to this latest news?
Yeah, again, this is concerning that JJ's missing this time with this roster. I think overall, Hannah, no matter if it was JJ McCarthy and this injury wasn't a thing or now Carson Wentz, their offensive line has to play better. Their offensive line was supposed to be a strength when it comes to pass protection. Through 2 games, I would tell you I think they've gotten whooped at the line of scrimmage in their pass protection. They've gotten manhandled in their pass protection. Carson Wentz, it's a great opportunity for him, but this offensive line in Minnesota needs to perform to the level that they were expected to perform. But JJ missing this time is definitely going to hinder his development this season.